Hey, what's going on? New World Order Survival Guy. I'm gonna get into talking to you about there is nobody that's gonna protect you, your family, your neighborhood, your country, but you and I. We're the only ones we can count on. As you can see, um, this country, as well as others, are getting to the extreme point where people are finally waking up um, and seeing reality right before their eyes. Our money is demolishing. You get dipshit Trump in there that's talking about, oh, he's taking off all these funds from overspending from Congress and stuff like that to pay off the debt. No, that debt is never going to be paid off. It ain't ever going to be paid off. They just signed a bill into law the other day about how government has the right and they can come to your home, to your safe deposit boxes, to your IRAs, to any of those things where you have precious metal, gold, silver, platinum, plutonium, uh, whatever. They can come and seize that like they did once before, quite a while ago, 1933. But they reintroduced that law and it's in effect. It's funny how they, in Mexico, they're making this company for internet and cell phones and stuff like that. I will get into the specific name, but they're needing lots and lots of silver through for AI, through all kinds of parts and stuff like that for these devices. Um, just a couple of days later. So it's your responsibility. It's our responsibility to have our money, which is going to be obsolete. Any precious metals, they've already been tracking. They know what you have. It's your responsibility to stash away with that and come up with your excuses ahead of time of what you did with those metals before they come knocking at your door. And if you did get bulk quantity of any of these, let's say, silver, you better have a damn good excuse because there is a hefty prison term if they catch you with that after they look to confiscate it from you. So, I don't know. Maybe you bought it in bulk and sold it at a discount. Um, People with cash only. I don't know. But you better come up with some good ration of currency and have a damn good excuse and all plans decided ahead of time. Money's becoming obsolete. They want it to be some sort of digital type of currency. It's coming. It's coming. Look at the signs. This country is screwed. Not only this country, the world's currencies together are screwed. It's not just America that's going through that. Countries all over the world are going through this. They're coming up with a New World Order solution that's already implemented for the New World Order. They already have the solution. They're just bringing out the problem and making it so detrimental that they're waiting for the reaction of the people so they can come out with their pre-orchestrated solution, which is not going to be physical currency. It's going to be more something that they can watch, something that's going to be biometric, DNA, something policed by AI. Excuse me. Moving on to food. You see what they're doing to the food. More fake food, higher prices, non-affordable. Beef, look how expensive beef is. Nobody can afford anything. It's just too ridiculous, man. It's like $120 for a good sized brisket. Steaks, I mean, look at steaks. You're going to buy a raw steak, $30. They're just making it unbearable. They're messing with the money, and everything falls in a domino soup. You're not going to be able to afford anything. There's a plan for that at the end. You have to be able to sustain yourself. You have to be able to coordinate with you and your family, your neighbors, whatever, alternative means to take care of yourself when it comes to food. Seeds, heirloom seeds, non-GMO seeds, non-hybrid seeds is just one aspect. It's going to be tricky because everything's monitored. Everything is being coordinated to go against you. Like everything else that's happening. I'll get into this individually in further shows. I'm just going through the list of stuff that you need to prepare for, that you need to protect yourself and your family from these individual crises that's going on. You have to be able to sustain yourself in food for the long term. You have to start not putting it to the side and thinking everything's going to go away, because it's not. It's not. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse. You have to be careful because there are laws in effect, recent laws, that can come take your excess food. Come take your gold and silver. Come take anything that you might want to stock up, like the anti-hoarding laws. A lot of people thought that's just going to the stores and buying 100 packages of toilet paper and stuff. And people were basically almost doing that. And people that didn't have that were getting pissed and stuff like that. So government quickly answered to the people. Quickly. And said, okay, we're putting anti-hoarding laws. And everybody's like, yeah. But you don't know the extent of that bill. That's just the forefront of what you see and what you're going to react to. But what's really in that bill is you can't have or store any more food, water, supplies, any of this stuff more than a week or two's worth. Just like back in the early 1930s, they arrested people that had more than a temporary amount of food or other supplies. You will get arrested, and it is a hefty sentence. Water. Water is the same way. Water is diminishing in our reservoirs. They don't want, I mean, it's illegal in a lot of states and a lot of areas to collect God's given rainwater. Especially in some of the heavy rainfall areas like Oregon and stuff. At least in a lot of areas, it is illegal to collect rainwater over there. Why? Because Nestle owns the water aquifers there. So you collect rainwater, it prevents Nestle from making a killing by selling water that they pay virtually hardly anything for from the government. It is your duty to collect water. Water will be confiscated if they find it. It's your duty to hide that. It's your duty to have water purification. Because our government doesn't give a shit about you or me. That's obvious. I'll get into that in a little bit. Moving on. Medical. With all these immigrants, they're foreign invaders, but with all these people coming in, being let in, being paid to come here, they're clogging up the hospitals. There's huge waiting lists. Not just United States, but Canada, Europe, all over Europe. Look what's happening in Europe. Their country is done. Now people are starting to fight back. Too little, too late. And that government is not giving a shit about the people's cries. They don't give a shit. They're doing this on purpose. The government is not there for the people. They're there for special interests. They're there for the globalists. Everything they're doing, of course, all the people are going to be, no. They're not giving a shit what the people say. They're totally going against it. That is treason to the highest extent. United States, they're just still trying to play people stupid. But you get into Australia, Europe, they just don't give a shit. It's past that point. They're one step ahead of us as far as what's going to happen to the country. The United States is quickly elevating to that spot Because we see what's happening in Europe. They let all these foreign, now the nationals for that country, specific country, are now minorities in their own country. They're letting all these, the crappiest of third world countries, come in, paying everything for them, free medical, free food, free housing, and letting their natives rot. They have special get out of jail free cards for these immigrants. They'll go there and take what they want from the women of the country, and they just make excuses for them. They just give them a slap on the wrist. They don't get charged. I don't want to say the R word because globalist YouTube is listening, guaranteed. We're being taken over. It's our duty to stand up and handle this situation. Protect our families, protect our neighborhoods, protect our country. Because government is not only not doing anything about it, they're sabotaging the citizens. We're obsolete now. It is our duty to save ourselves. Medical hospitals overtaken, super high prices, too high to pay insurance. The list just goes on and on. And your medical supplies that you store in that bill supposedly goes to the hospitals. So they're going to confiscate your medical supplies, and then you go and they're going to charge you $100 a freaking Band-Aid. Utilities. Utilities are owned by the major corporations, the globalists. They slowly took those over. That's why they all follow these crappy, weird, like head-scratching rules and shit like that. They're all participating in overcharging. They're all participating in corruption. It's our duty to gather our own alternative type fuels and stuff like that. Nothing that's tied to the grid. Everything I mentioned, keep secret, hide it, stash it, not in your house. Because when the time comes, they will come door to door and start busting up your house to find shit. They find it, you're out. You tell them you don't have it and they find it. They take all the shit and you go to prison. I'm talking about like 10 years. You have to find ways, and I'm talking about, they know that you have a big propane tank. Maybe not the little ones. Maybe not the littler ones. But the ones outside your house, not only that, they're watching through surveillance from satellites and other technologies, as well as they know your credit cards and stuff like that. It all goes into an AI database that's just plucking everything, every information, and you're being labeled, you're being red flagged. They know what you're doing. And it's only going to get worse. I will talk about that also in a minute. Protection. These people, these sons of bitches are coming in this country doing terrible things to women and children, let alone our society as a whole. You call the police, they're not coming. Or they're not coming for hours later where they can just do a drive-by and go, oh, nobody's here, and keep going. Even though the same thing is happening to them and their families, they're just doing their job. They're just doing their job like the Nazi soldiers did in Germany. The law enforcement needs to know, man, this is affecting you, and you ain't doing nothing but protecting globalists and their interests. You're hurting yourselves. You're killing yourselves and your own family. You want to be a piece of shit and turn your back on the American people? That's on you. I know all you guys ain't like that, but there's a hell of a lot that are. And I just hope that changes soon. Because it's going to get serious, man. This stuff is going to increase more and more. And you, law enforcement, ain't shit to the government. Just like these immigrants that they try to protect and stuff like that, they're not shit to the government either. They're just being used as pawns, just like you are, being used as pawns to fulfill their orchestrated plan. Save ammo. Get ammo. Get your firearms. Learn other means of making them or whatever. Get that ammo. Ammo is more important than firearms. Some might disagree. That's fine, because I disagree with you. Ammo is more important. There's plenty of firearms. It's great to have firearms. It's very important. It's good for accuracy. It's good for having rounds of ammo in that firearm, whatever. But I'm telling you, they ain't doing nothing but trying to confiscate your firearms. And they're going to come around doing it like all these other countries around the world. They're going to succeed. Because your constitutional rights are going to be obsolete. They're coming for them. You can say, peel it from my cold dead hands or whatever. They will. Unless you're smart about it. Unless you know how to get one step ahead of their way of thinking. Because most people ain't thinking. Saving our country is huge. Because once we lose it, it's gone. It's gone. They're in the midst of that right now. Of demolishing our country. They're using immigration to infiltrate a country and take it and dismantle it within. It's not a big war yet. They're infiltrating. The government's infiltrating their own country by bringing in immigrants from third world countries that we've attacked, that we demolished and took out their families and just crushed theirs. They're bringing in these people that have a religious difference that's violent to the United States traditions and religion. They brainwash them over there. They come over here. They have little groups and meetings and civil type things that further brainwash them into hating us. Then they're out here. That's why they're doing all this crazy shit. They don't give a shit. They won't think twice of, boom, sexually taking the women in your family or children or something of that sort. They don't care. They like that shit. And so does our government. You think if they really gave a shit about the people, they'd yank their ass out? They wouldn't even let them in the first place. They knew what was going to happen. They see what's happening in other countries, but yet they're still bringing them over. They're still, immigrants. This country was founded on immigrants. Somalians built this country. Somalians didn't do shit to this country. Yes, this country is founded on immigrants, but it was immigrants that wanted a better life for them and their family, and they were here to work hard and stuff like that, and they loved and wanted to contribute in every which way. We bring in these people now. You think they're here? They think they, like, for instance, Christmas. No, they hate Christmas. They hate Christians. They hate everything. The people back in the day that came to this country, where do you think we got Christmas from? Europe. The Europeans that came over back a couple hundred years ago, they're here to contribute. Yes, there was bad things. Yes, there was slavery. Yes, that shit. We're here now. We have to do what we have to do now. We fought for this country many times before, and here we are. They got people's brains so freaking twisted. They got people hating their own country. That's what they want. They want you to hate your own country. They want you to think it's okay to let in immigrants and act like it's some justified reason for them to freaking tear this country apart. Who in the right mind to do that? This country's been nothing but demolishing ever since they let them in. Nothing good out of it. That's why our debt, since Trump took out all that shit, is still the freaking same. It's still the same. Everybody's doing just hoping and praying and waiting patiently for the stupid stimulus check that Trump says that he's going to give everybody. It's a scam. Trump is the globalist. He works for the globalists. Otherwise, he wouldn't be sitting in that seat. All the major ball players in Congress, in the Senate, everything else, work for the freaking globalists. No matter what their mouth flaps, that's what they're doing. Nothing ever gets better. No matter who's in office, it steadily gets worse. Technology. Get ready. 6G is coming, officially coming. 6G, sixth generation, is what the G stands for. Generation. This is the sixth generation, and it's going to be completely ran by AI. It's going to be completely AI. You think the frequencies from 5G were bad? You should see on 6G. 6G is going to be over 100 times more powerful. They're saying you're not even going to need a router for your Wi-Fi and stuff like that. You're not going to need a router. You're not going to need all this equipment. You're not going to need to call Spectrum or any of them other, your cable provider, whatever. They're going to be using everything around you. This thing is so powerful, it'll use all the metal and technology and shit around you, and that's going to be basic work as antennas. They're going to be using nano particles and everything that's in the air that they're spraying from the planes. All that's going to be coordinated in with this. They're not going to need all that extra bullshit. They're not going to need these towers and stuff like that. These 6G technology is very, very sophisticated. I mean, extremely sophisticated. It does have an issue with going through like fog or humidity. But like I said, it's not going to matter because it's like those 5G towers, they're going to have towers, but there's not going to be no need for that many towers because everything, the wires in your wall, your smart meters, your TVs, your cars, everything is going to work for a signal intensifier in your home, in the streets. The only place that'll be basically safe from this is going to be in the middle of nowhere when you don't get any type of service or anything that goes out in that direction. Now, I'm talking about in the middle of nowhere. Maybe remote Alaska. Maybe certain parts of Wyoming or someplace far away from any kind of service like that. They're going to be getting signal from everywhere. And some of the things that I read that it's even going to be from your body. They put so much heavy metals in your body for over the decades that it's also going to work and reflect off those particles and stuff in your body, as well as those injections that some of you been getting. This is a new level of sophisticated intelligence. I'll get more into that on another show. I'll just have a full show on that and get into heavy detail on that. Moving on, communication. Communication, of course, they control the communications. They can pinpoint your location through the frequencies. If you transmit through certain radios, that's what communication is. I'm talking to you, you talk to me back. You're not really going to be able to be tracked through listening to the communications device, such as a hand radio, ham, any of those. There's many different kinds. But conversing back and forth, you absolutely will. Tools. It's your responsibility to have the specific tools that you're going to need to survive and be able to accommodate and accumulate some of these other things that you're going to need. Water, medical, protection, building, utilities. You need to be able to, wood for fire. You need to, just different tools to accumulate water and stuff like that, to cook with, all that stuff. You're going to need the tools because they're coming after everything. The government is completely going after us. There ain't no sugarcoating it. That's what they're doing. Look at their behavior. Look how weird they are. Don't make excuses because you voted for fucking dipshit Trump. Don't make excuses for that. Just accept that you got played, and now you realize, now you're waking up, which there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Like the saying goes, it's easier to fool someone than to convince them that they have been fooled. Just wake up and realize it's okay that you voted for Trump because his mouth got the better of your ear. Don't just say, okay, I'm not going to look stupid, so I'm just going to stick by my globalist puppet. No. That's the worst thing you could do. Just realize, you know what? He ended up being a piece of shit. Just like when you voted for Bush. Just like some of you that voted for Obama or whatever. Just realize they're all pieces of shit. They're all paid and bought for globalist freaking puppets. Period. All of them. And that's all that's ever going to be in office is going to be. I don't care what it is. Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter. Two parties, zero choice. It's an illusion of choice. They're playing you. Immigration, they're bringing them in to take out our country, period. That's it. That's what they're doing. And then you got the Democrats that are, yeah, let them until they get boinked in the alley, or their children does, God forbid. Until they're victims of these people. Then you just want to smack them upside the fucking head and say how freaking stupid they are. Are you awake yet? Well, glad you're awake. You're too freaking late. We wouldn't even have this problem if the government felt like they couldn't get you to be on board with their agenda. That's what the whole divide and conquer thing is. They divide people, they brainwash people, they coerce people, and then do some stupid, ridiculous shit, and their party might do that, and then they just support them, and they don't even know what the hell they're... I mean, look at these pink-haired weirdos. They have no brain. They're just going along with this because they give trannies a damn platform or something. You know what I mean? And so everything else that they do, I'm gonna stand by. Freaking retards, man. They're trying to take our firearms from us so we can't defend ourselves against the oppression that they're installing on us. You think that shit would be happening in Europe if they had the right to bear arms still? You think that mass shooting in Australia that happened today would be happening if they were still allowed to bear arms? Hell no. That's our security for when shit happens. For not when government not only doesn't protect us, not only when the police doesn't protect us or can protect us, we have to be able to defend and protect ourselves. Now with the government, that's sabotage. They're coordinating, they're making trouble for us to destabilize and dismantle our countries. They don't want us to defend. Matter of fact, they increase the punishment on it. And the immigrants don't have any punishment for what they do to us. What we would get life in prison for or death penalty, they get a slap on the wrist and scurry on. That's nuts, man. Protect ourselves. Don't announce it. Keep it to yourselves. Get suited and booted and ready for this shit that's coming to a town near you. Because it's coming. You're going to defend your family. You're not going to let these sons of bitches hurt your children, hurt your wife, hurt your neighbor's children or wife. You ain't going to let them hurt anybody in your country if you're worth a shit. Because enough is enough. England, they had enough. They're fighting back. The only thing is they weren't smart enough to stand up for their gun rights back some years ago. We still have ours. We still have ours. We're not going to let these sons of bitches terrorize our country. We're not going to let our freedoms, rights, and liberties demolish, despair because the government wants to coerce us into giving up our liberties and stuff in exchange for some lying-ass cry for protection. You want us to save you from these people that we created? Well, you're going to have to turn in your guns. You're going to have to turn them in. And we will save you because we can't have guns going around. They just make it more dangerous. What if you miss the terrorist immigrant and you hit somebody innocent behind them? It's like, who gives a shit, you stupid ass? We're not going to listen to that dumb nonsense. Oh, okay, so we'll just give up our guns and just let them kill much more people. These people are sick, man. I mean, they're not even sick. They know exactly what they're doing. This is the biggest major false flag operation ever. Bigger than 9/11. Bigger than COVID. Bigger than the Hook incident. And the many, 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 many other ones. They get all these immigrants to go to these, mainly the eastern states. You know, they have this weather manipulation, stratospheric injections and stuff like that, and they create these crazy storms or intensifies them to do great damage to certain areas, especially where these immigrants are. So what's that going to do? That's going to push them further inland. And then the newcomers will go to those eastern states, and then they'll just completely suck them inward. Little by little, you let all these immigrants come from the south, and I'm not talking about Mexicans, I'm talking about South Americans and other countries throughout the world that fly to South America and migrate up through Mexico. Not talking about the Mexicans, except for the cartels. Now, the cartels is another thing. The government is letting that happen. And they're just bullshitting you when they act like they give a shit. Because we'll go clear across the world and take out the opiate organized crime type people, and we'll take that over. But we have right next door cartels that's infiltrating, that control the government in Mexico, and much of South America, Central America, and even Canada, as well as the United States. You don't think we can go down there and just fucking bust ass and take them all out in a snap of a freaking finger? Not a problem. We could drop some shit on them real quick that'll take out all their headquarters. They're just not wanting to because they want that fear installed. They want those drugs out in the street. They want that feria, that currency that they get from the tax dollars. They want to have this barrier of fear installed in the citizens, because they'll be taken out in 2 seconds. It ain't going to happen. They're going to keep bullshitting around that shit. Oh, we're going to go to fucking Venezuela and deal with their drug boats and shit like that, when, you know, Venezuela has to come through Mexico and all this shit to get over here. You think the cartels in Mexico are going to let Venezuelan drug lords and shit come to their fucking country? No. And Venezuela ain't going to do a damn thing about it. Because you're walking in their territory. It's all a setup. It's all bullshit. Everything's a lie. The main point of this damn video, man, is to protect yourself. Get prepared. There ain't nobody that's going to protect you. The government damn sure ain't going to protect you. They are not in the interest of the people anywhere in the world. You know, they say, oh, this is not a democracy, it's a republic and shit. Who gives a shit about democracy, Democrat, republic? They're all freaking criminals. You think Republic of Congo is a good nation? You think the Republic of China is a good nation. They're a freaking communist country, but they have republic in it. You know, there's so many other ones too that use republic. Who gives a shit about republic or Republican or Democratic? There's countries that have Democratic Republic of blah blah blah. Who gives a shit? They're all the same. They're all globalists, puppets. We just need to worry about ourselves. Our country's being taken. We need to stand together, band together, put our differences aside. Black, white, Mexican, American, Asian, it doesn't matter. If you want a good country to live in and not face the oppression that's coming, like, you know, if all these immigrants hate our country so bad, why are they fucking coming here? Because they're paid to. They're paid to tear down this country. And they're going to get paid, fed, medical, everything else as a reward. If you want a Muslim country, stay in your Muslim country. Or if you're here, just be here, but don't try to change us. If I went to Somalia and I wanted to change it to a Christian nation or have my own thoughts and talking shit, I wouldn't make it past 5 minutes. I'd be taken out quick. We need to do something. We need, and it starts from the individuals. You know how they have neighborhood watch? We need that everywhere. Especially, well, not really here where I'm at, but, you know, we need Americans to stand up and protect your streets, and run these freaking people out. Like I said, I ain't got none of that shit happening where I live. But it probably won't be long. Because they're coming everywhere. Just protect your family, man. Protect your country. Protect your neighborhoods. Your cities, your states. I mean, hold it down in your area and don't let these bastards take us over, because if it's, we're not going to get it back. There's no fighting later or nothing like that. These people are coming in abundance and they're creating authority through votes. They go and take over a town. They get enough people, blah, blah. And then plus you have the libtards that are voting with them and stuff like that. They're going to quickly take local office. And then what? Then they're going to create laws in benefit of them, like they've already been doing in some of these states and cities and stuff. Then you're going to be obsolete in your own country. They're going to be taking law enforcement jobs. They're going to be taking medical jobs. They're going to be taking judges and lawyers and governors and mayors and all this legislative type roles. They're saying it. They're saying it. And there's not a whole shitload of them here yet. Somalians in particular. So, rise up, Americans. Rise up. Please like, share, subscribe. Please drop a comment down if you have anything to say about this subject. Something you want to throw in on it. New World Order, Survival Guy, Thank you for watching. Catch you on the next one.